Welcome to this week's edition of The Heart of the Mule. I'm your host, Jason Ketz, standing here alongside with Derek Hanley. And Derek, thanks for taking the time to join us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and so let's go ahead and get started here. Just starting off with the faith side of things. How'd you come to get to your relationship with Christ?
Well, I was raised in a Christian household as a kid. My dad actually worked for FCA growing up, and so the faith aspect was always part of our family, and so at a young age I accepted Christ, and through high school went through some trials and went through some stuff athletically, had some shoulder surgeries, and really realized that my satisfaction doesn't come from sports, but it comes from Christ, and ultimately gave my life to Christ through those, and realizing that my hope is in Christ and not my football career.
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned a little bit with your football career. How are you able to balance not only your spiritual practices, but also, football practices?
Yeah, for a while it was really hard. I made football an idol in my life, and it was something that I kind of separated from my faith, and it took me years of understanding that God wanted all of me, and that meant my football life as well. And so just realizing that I can incorporate my faith with my sports, and FCA really showed me how to do that. And the moment I did that, football became that much more fun. My faith became that much more applicable and that much more enjoyable.
And how would you say, throughout your football career, how would you say that your spiritual practices helped you on the football field?
I'd say it just gave me a different purpose on the football field. Playing college football is hard, and there's a lot of trials and a lot of ups and downs that go along with playing. And so when I was playing with no purpose, with just purpose to be there, it was lonely. It was never quite satisfying. But the moment I committed my life to Christ, I had a purpose to be on the field, and that was to share the gospel with people. And there was a purpose for me to have intentional conversations with guys and ask them deeper questions than what's the next play, or but I could ask them, like, how are you really doing, and go deeper than that, and just really cool friendships flourished out of that. And so I just had a different mindset it came from accepting. Yeah.
And you kind of mentioned a little bit earlier how with your shoulder surgeries, was there a time that your faith was really tested as far as on the football field?
Yeah, I've had 5 shoulder surgeries, and so and they all happened once after another. And for a long time I was really mad at God. I didn't understand why He would let me go through this, why the one thing I was good at, I thought, why He was taking that away. And so it took me a long time to understand that, again, God was trying to reach my heart, and He knew that going through these surgeries was going to do that, and showed me that football is a temporary gift, and it can be taken away like that. And He blessed me with the opportunity to play college football, but He blessed me with that so I can make football my ministry, and not that I can make football this prideful gift that I thought was my own.
Now, when football is such an emotional game, there's a lot of ebbs and flows that go on throughout the game. How does your faith help you be able to conduct yourself on the football field?
Yeah, I guess just always knowing that there's eyes on me, and especially I'm in high school in football. Like in high school, I was the captain of the team, and here at UCM, I was the freshman captain for the team. And so knowing that if I was cussing up a storm, then the guys were gonna look at me like that. And so just knowing that I had to watch everything I say, watch all the actions I did, all the extra pushing after each play. Like, I had to know that people had eyes on me, and if I wanted to be this leader that I said I was, this FCA leader that was labeled on me, then I had to be above reproach in everything I did, and that meant turning my head when I got a cheap shot, or holding my tongue when I wanted to say words that didn't glorify God. And so it was cool.
What would you say is the greatest strength that you have with your relationship with Christ that's helped you with football?
I'd say the greatest strength is just the ability to be patient with people and the relational side, and build friendships on the football field, because that just gave me opportunities to share the gospel even more. But just perseverance with going through the shoulder surgeries, going through concussions, I had to fight through those things, and knowing that faith is not an easy thing to live by. And so learning that it was something I had to fight for if I wanted to pursue God the right way. And so the more I pursued God and persevered through the trials that God was throwing at me, I got better on the field and through my faith as well.
You mentioned a little bit earlier about your father being a real, leader for you as far as with your faith. Is there somebody else that comes to mind when you think of, just kind of the leadership through Christ?
Yeah, my dad is the first person that comes to my head for sure, and just, he's a man. He's the reason why I want to be the man I am today, and just. Mike Sweeney is also a guy that comes to mind. My dad worked with him through SCA, and he's like a father figure to me as well. And really, a guy who is so successful with the Kansas City Royals, and to be the Christian man and the leader he is, I got to look up to him a lot and just see how he conducted himself and how he led spiritually. And he was always a man that I wanted to be like one day and to strive for.
Is it a little ironic that the FCA building is just right across I-70 from Kaufman, and being Mike Sweeney is as big of a leader as that as he has been with the FCA community? Just a little bit of an ironic thing.
It's cool. It's really cool to see it out there in left field.
And just finally here, every week we always make everybody talk about their favorite verse, and so we're going to have you read from the Bible here, your favorite verse, and just first of all tell us which one it is, and then give us a little bit of an explanation of why it's important to you on the football field. Yeah, and so like I was talking earlier, just about persevering, and so my verse I chose is James 1:2-4, and it says, "Consider it great joy, my brothers, whenever you experience various trials, knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance, but endurance must do its complete work, so that you may be mature and complete, lacking in nothing." So like I was talking about earlier, just the perseverance with shoulder surgery, and this was a verse that really got me through that tough time, and knowing through my shoulder surgeries I got stronger, and through that it created endurance. And I mean that's why this verse is so important for me, because my faith is going to be tested. My sports career was tested, and it was something that I had to fight through, and something that I had to endure through and persevere. So. All right. Coming up after the break, we'll talk to Derek more about his football career. Coming up after this.
What if television could take us back in time, into the mind of a president?
This is our summons to greatness.
And into the soul of a rebel.
I shook up the world!
What if we could know how it feels to shoot for the stars, to witness the terrors of combat, and know the heartache of those left at home? And why can't TV remember the heroes we honored, the music we danced to, the dreams we chased?
The hope still lives, and the dream shall never die.
No one tells our nation's story like PBS. Give to your PBS station and help bring America's story to life, now and for generations to come.
Welcome to Taylor Tidbits here, presented by Taylor Industries. I'm sitting alongside here with founder and CEO of Taylor Industries, Mike Ballard. Mike, thanks for joining us.
Good morning, good to be here.
Absolutely, and go ahead and just tell us a little bit about what Taylor Industries is and what kind of services and products you provide.
Taylor Industries is a manufacturer of medical products. Our main thing that we do here in this facility is ECG electrodes, which are used to monitor your heartbeat. If you're ever in a hospital, or say they do a stress test on you on a treadmill, they're going to have them on you to monitor your heart. We also manufacture TENS electrodes for nerve stimulating, and we custom build machinery to do different things.
So what are your predictions here for the college football playoff for the Alabama Crimson Tide?
I think it'll end up, they'll be in the final game. Who they'll be playing, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. But, you know, like Coach Saban's, next game's the most important one. And then we'll worry about the next one after that. So they've got to beat Michigan State.
Yeah, it's going to be a good test for them to see. It's going to be a bunch of power football running, and it's going to be the old days of the 3 yards and a cloud of dust, right?
It's going to be some hard football, hard hitting, hard running. And hopefully the coaches that we're losing who are moving on will still be able to have their head in the game, because they're going to still be there until the final.
There's been a little bit of turmoil with that, especially at Ohio State, where they've kind of had that situation come about. And yeah, and obviously with Kirby Smart being the big name that leaving the program this year, it'd be a good way for him to go out with a win, right?
Yep. And Kirby, on Facebook, I've got a lot of links to Alabama football. And it's been amazing to watch people comment on that. There has not been a negative comment from any Alabama fan about him leaving. They've all wished him well and hope he does well, except for when he plays Alabama. Otherwise, they've wished him well. He's always said, while he's been there, if he would never leave Alabama unless he ever got a chance to be the head coach at Georgia. And that came about. He played football for Georgia. So he's going back to his alma mater. This is great for him, and I'm excited for him, and I'm excited to see him succeed as a head coach.
And I really do think that he'll be able to bring in a new mentality to that team, just because even though Mark Richt was a legendary coach there for a number of years, it kind of seemed toward the end of his career that, you know, they did kind of fall off the wayside a little bit. And obviously with local Mizzou coming into that SEC East, where, you know, they were able to kind of take over from the beginning from what it seemed like, except Florida got to the championship game, obviously losing to Alabama, which was probably a good thing for you to see. But yeah, he really will be a guy that really will instill a lot of the same stuff that Saban was able to do with the program over to Georgia.
Yeah, I think so. I think he'll do. He's got a strong work ethic, and he'll do well. He'll do real well.
This is Mike Bauer, the founder and CEO of Taylor Industries. This has been Tailored Tidbits.
I choose excitement.
I choose to make a difference.
I choose uncommon opportunities.
I choose red to experience learning to a greater degree.
Choose red. Choose the University of Central Missouri.
Hi, I'm Jason Ketz, and thanks for watching this week's edition of The Heart of the Mule presented by Taylor Industries. If you or someone you know would like to be on the show, email us at theheartofthemule@gmail.com. Welcome back to this week's edition of Heart of the Mule underneath the Taylor Industries canopy. I'm here with Derek Hanley again, and Derek, gone through the face side, now it's time for a little football.
Mm-hmm.
So Derek, originally from Lee Summit North High School, Kansas City area. I as well from the Kansas City area, up north a little bit more at Staley. But just talk about that first time that you were exposed to football. You know, what were some of the things that you experienced?
Yeah, so I guess the first time I ever played football was in fourth grade tackle football in the Lee Summit football little league. And I loved it. I loved everything about it. I always wanted to play football, but my dad made me wait a little bit before I played tackle. But getting through high school, it was awesome. It was just an adrenaline rush. It was a chance for me to hit people and not get in trouble for it. And it was just a lot of fun. I love everything about the game, and playing offensive line and having the chance to kind of work behind the scenes as a lineman and make plays for the quarterback and the running backs, and it was a good time.
Now, when I say this to you, when I say just playing underneath the lights, you know, the Friday night atmosphere, I mean, I can still remember mine pretty well myself, but just talk about what it's like playing underneath the Friday night lights.
Yeah, I mean, it's electric. It's no other sport I feel like can have that rush, have that running out of the tunnel and just feeling the excitement from the crowd and just the energy. Football's like no other. Baseball and basketball, those other sports, they play multiple games a week. Football has one game a week, and the whole school is coming to watch it. And so it's fun. There's nothing like it.
You talked a little bit off camera about how maybe your senior year might not have gone so well as far as a team performance, and I know you went through a bunch of shoulder surgeries as well. So talk a little bit more about how with your relationship with Christ and how you were able to kind of persevere through all those times during your senior year.
Yeah, it was tough. Going 1-9 is never desired for your big senior year. But again, once I realized that my joy didn't come from football, going 1-9 wasn't near as hard. It was tough, don't get me wrong. I'm very competitive, I love to win. But because all my joy didn't come from the results on Friday night, I had more of a peace about that. Also knowing that I was going to have the opportunity to play college football helped to know that this wasn't my last time putting on pads. But my joy wasn't anchored down with the results from Friday.
And you kind of mentioned a little bit about being able to have that opportunity to play college football. I myself was not good enough, but just talk about a little bit the recruiting process of going through and being able to see that I'm going to be able to play college football.
Yeah, the recruiting process was it had a lot of ups and a lot of downs as well. Getting a lot of looks from a lot of MIAA, so here and Northwest and Pitt State and Mo West and Washburn, and then some smaller schools like Avila and William Jewell and some schools in Quincy. And so it was fun, but it was tough as well. There was a lot of times where I was excited getting called out of classrooms to talk to coaches, and but it was stressful. It was tough at the same time.
And talk about, obviously you ended up here at UCM. Yeah. What was kind of the difference maker that kind of set UCM apart from all the other schools that were coming after you?
Yeah, and so the recruiting process was really good, and it was the tough part was these schools were talking scholarships, and then at the last minute I got offered a preferred walk-on, which is a scholarship it's a scholarship athlete without the scholarship. And so I didn't necessarily get treated as a walk-on. I didn't have to try out, but they just didn't have enough money for me. Mm-hmm. And so, but I knew I wanted to play at a bigger school. I knew I didn't want to go to Avila or kind of these smaller schools. And so I love the fact it was close to home. They have a great program. Beautiful school, great classes, and so I was just kind of sold on all of those facts.
And you were an offensive lineman here. Yeah. Just talk about your relationship with Coach McClung.
Yeah, I was an offensive lineman, and so they had me at left guard, and Coach McClung was awesome. He taught me a lot, and what it took to be a man, what it took to be a good college football player, and there's a lot of ups and downs in that too, just with being a college athlete. It's tough, and it's a lot. It's getting screamed at a lot, and but it was all learning experiences and learning how to be a successful college athlete.
And you kind of just a little bit touched on it, but when you first stepped on campus here, kind of in August, talk about just what's the biggest difference between high school and college football?
Yeah, the biggest difference is just the level of play. I remember I was standing over here on the first, my first college practice, and we just had finished our conditioning test. Guys were just dead, and I remember sitting here watching, about ready to go out, and just like shaking, realizing like this is it, this is happening, and just watching the speed of the game, and just this is new. This is a brand new game. This isn't little high school football anymore. Like this is, even though it's D2, like the level of play is high. So,
who would you say is somebody that you kind of really looked up to when you were first here as a freshman playing on the football team?
Yeah, there was a lot. Whether it was offensive lineman, Brian Brzezinski, like Ticey Littman, Lane Fisher, and all these great guys, and then all these position players like Chase Bollinger, Zach Quinnis, Hayden Hawk was a quarterback when I was here, and Tristan McClellan, and just all these great guys with just great attitudes, like really impacted me, and they just brought us all under their wing, and we felt a part of a team even as a redshirt freshman, and just you could really feel like the unity in that.
And just again, being able to be out here on this field, I myself have been able to be on the sidelines for a lot of these games, covering them for various things, but talk about just the atmosphere in the crowd and how much different it really is from the Friday Night Lights being here on Saturdays.
Yeah, I mean, it was different playing Saturday afternoon, so it was definitely took a little bit to get used to. But I mean, to see the stands and see how much bigger they are than our high school stands. I mean, it's probably 4 or 5 times bigger than high school, and so just to see like them full and to see fans screaming and just it was a lot of fun, and just looking around and seeing family and friends, and a lot of pride in my school, and looking up from the sideline and seeing like this is why we practice, this is why we put in all this extra work that is for this game, and it's just always worth it because of that.
So you're a history education major here. Michael Golick, also a history major, so I asked him this as well. What's your favorite time period of history to kind of learn about?
I love old ancient Roman stuff, and just kind of really from the beginning of AD to up until like 500, 600 AD. Yeah, I just think it's a really cool story, and it's really cool to see people changing the course of history through that time. Whether it was the Caesars or all those emperors during that time. It was cool, that time period.
And you kind of, again, education major, so there's that possibility that you might be ending up a coach yourself?
Yeah. If I definitely teach, I would love to coach one day. And whether that's football or baseball or both. My coaches meant the world to me and learned a ton from them. And so if I can give back in that fashion and help those student athletes in high school, I'd love to give back in that way. And I love the game, and I feel like I know some of it, and so I think I can be a benefit to those players in that way.
What would you say is kind of the biggest thing that you took away from your time here as a UCM football player?
There's a lot. I really just learned I learned what hard work really was. I learned what it took to be determined to do something. Whether it was our 6 o'clock weights in the morning, where we all knew we were going to puke afterwards because we worked our tail off. But I learned like what it took to have a goal and to reach that goal. It was something that I never had to do before. I've never had to work as hard as I worked until I got here. And it was an awesome lesson for me to learn, and something I plan to continue to focus on as I move on in my career.
All right, well, Derek, thank you again for joining us on this week's edition, and again, good luck with your studies, and hopefully we'll see you out there on the coaching field someday.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, thanks again for joining us this week on the Heart of the Mule underneath the Taylor Industries canopy. We'll be back next week. Hi, I'm Jason Ketz, and thanks for watching this week's edition of the Heart of the Mule presented by Taylor Industries. If you or someone you know would like to be on the show, email us at theheartofthemule@gmail.com.